not wrong for feeling the way you feel, because at the end of the day, he can acknowledge the fact that you're in a relationship without telling people your business. So you're not wrong in that. And I was like, you know what? You're right. Like, why should I settle? Like, what I'm doing is settling right now. Even though he's an amazing guy, I'm settling because he's not doing the things I need him to do. And since then, I have felt better. But with, you know, Mercury coming out of retrograde, I'm still a little bit on edge. Like, I was just, before you guys called, I went to bed at 3:00 in the morning. And so I've only gotten 3 hours of sleep, because when things are going on, I just spiritually, I cannot sleep. So for instance, I don't know if you guys are aware of the time. Time has a lot of relevance when it comes to spirituality. Like 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning is when your spiritual self is more awakened. That's when you can interact with spirits at that time. So that's when I will talk to my ancestors. I'll light a candle, you know, ask them to guide me, ask them for protection, because at the end of the day, to me, they're the most important part of the spiritual journey, because anybody's spiritual journey, in my personal opinion, is you finding out who you are and living your truth. At the end, you know, and at the end of my 21-day spiritual journey or spiritual path, I literally woke up and was like, I want to be a priestess. And I was like, wait, what? Like, that was just so random for me to just, you know, decide to study more on the African culture instead of, you know, Christianity, or, you know, what anybody else thinks I should worship or what I should practice or follow. With that being said, I also think that if you need a book to tell you to be a good person, you're not a good person. That's not how I want to live my life. Like, I don't want to live my life being told what to think. You know, I want to live my life being told how to think, because once someone teaches you how to think, you unlock things on your own. You unlock things that, you know, you would never imagine. And I will honestly say, on, you know, this past 2 years, even though I've hated living in Arizona, it also has been the best experience, just because it has allowed my spiritual journey to start. You know, I'm even interested in finding out who my Orisha is, because I feel like I identify more with Yamaya, but the research I've been doing says that even though you identify with somebody, doesn't mean that they're actually your Orisha or who's leading your house. So I need to pay for another divination to figure out who I need to, you know, build an altar for, and who I should be, you know, praying to for guidance. So that's just been, you know, a little bit of my spiritual journey. Definitely a lot of awkwardness too, just because when mine and Iris's father passed away, him and I weren't on good terms. So I felt like I harbored a lot of guilt, and I didn't really talk about it. And 2 or 3 months after, no, a month after I came back from California from burying him, I remember sitting on my bed, and mind you, in my house, there's nothing with feathers in it. I sat on my bed and I was super depressed. Like, I was working 2 jobs, going to school, and it was just a lot. And I have 3 kids. So I felt very overwhelmed and depressed, and felt like I was in over my head. And as soon as I sat down on the bed and put my head down, a white feather floated across my face. And I was like, what the hell? Like, where the hell did this feather come from? Like, this is so random. And I got annoyed and got up and left the room. And then I came back in the room, and I looked around. There was no feather. I sat back down on the bed to put my shoes on, and the same white feather floated across my face again. And this time I caught it. And then I was like, somebody is trying to tell me something. Like, somebody is literally trying to tell me something. So, 2 days later, I had a dream. And in this dream, I was on a beach. And anytime that somebody passes away and we're going to talk, I always end up on a beach with them. And that's why I identify with Yamaya, because she is a water Orisha. I feel very comforted by water, the sound of it, being in it, like just being around it. It comforts my soul. So in this dream, I'm walking along the beach, and you know, I'm looking down, you know, dragging a stick, and I look up, and my dad is standing right in front of me. And like, I start like shaking because I'm like, hold on, you dead? Like, what are you doing in my dream? Like, why are you here? And he just came to tell me, he was like, Tasha, I just want to apologize for the way I treated you. I know I didn't exactly always treat you the best, but I do apologize. And I see the truth. I see that, at the end of the day, even though we didn't get along, all the time, that you did love me. And I'm sorry that I wasn't able to show you that. And he gave me a hug. And I just remember feeling so much warmth from him, so much warmth and love from him. And then I woke up. Was taking a shower, going about my day. And then it hit me in the shower. I was like, I finally got to tell my dad everything that I'd been feeling. And, he finally told me sorry. That's all I ever wanted to hear from him, was a genuine sorry. And I just broke down crying in the shower. And it just felt such a sense of relief knowing that he did hear me tell him that I loved him before he passed away. With that being said, I was going through a lot. I was in a toxic relationship at the time. I had a really toxic friend who was literally dragging me down. Like, she was an energy leech, and I just always felt so drained around here. I couldn't figure out why. And so I ended up cutting her off eventually. And then, I was still working 2 jobs. And one day I went to work, and there was this lady there that I've never seen. Mind you, I've been working at Walmart for 8 months by then, and I never worked with this lady. And she was really sweet, and we were in the freezer putting up food, deli food. And she was like, hey. And I was like, yeah. She was like, my spiritual guide is talking to me right now. There's a message for you. Don't interrupt me, but I need to tell you. I was like, okay. So she closes her eyes and starts touching a crystal on her chest. And she was like, you recently lost a father figure, and you keep seeing white feathers everywhere. She was like, please know that anytime you see these white feathers, that's your father letting you know that he's here to guide you. And he also wants you to know that any guilt that you're feeling, you need to let that go, because nothing has been your fault. So you need to let that go. You need to let that go. He wants you to know that he loves you and he's here for you. But he needs you to live your life without any guilt because you didn't do anything wrong. And like, I just like burst into tears. Like, that was such a deep, for a complete stranger to know that my dad passed away a couple months prior, to know that I had been seeing white feathers, for me to never see her ever, the whole 8 months I've been working at Walmart. And then I worked with her that day and didn't see her ever again. I know for a fact that we all have spiritual guides. It's just, if you're not willing to listen, they're going to give you signs, but if you're not going to pay attention to those signs, like, you're never going to me, fully start your spiritual journey, because you're not willing to listen to anything outside of what's being told to you. You have to open up, not like, since I don't know very much, I don't like to call it your third eye, even though I know that's what it is. You have to open up what you've closed off. We are all born with the ability to see ghosts. We're all born pure. It's the world that corrupts us. It's the world that makes us think we're crazy if we believe in stuff like that. It's the world around us that makes us feel like if we don't conform to what they think is right, then you're not doing it correctly. When, on this whole spiritual journey, I've noticed that when I listen to my ancestors, when I listen to my spiritual guides, I do feel more of a sense of peace. Like, I even went, back on the website that I order my herbs from, and just typed peace in, and ordered peace oil, and ordered an abundance herbal bath. And after I finished my 21-day spiritual bath, I started the 7-day one a day after. And on the 7th day is when my boyfriend and I broke up. That's when I knew that I'm at where I'm supposed to be at. I even got a job offer like the day after I broke up with him. So I can't, speak for anybody else's spiritual journey, but I'm going to say for me, trusting in myself, living my life unapologetically has made such a huge difference in my mentality, has made such a huge difference in my emotional health, because even though I was hurt, I didn't want to break up with him. Hurt is a part of life. Hurt is necessary. That's the only thing that's guaranteed in life is stress and death. So don't allow the stressful moments to define who you are. If anything, it's a test of character. And that's just, to me, a little bit of my spiritual journey and, testimony. Like, I can't thank the ancestors enough for guiding me to where I'm at. Do I still have a long way to go? Oh, absolutely. But it's better to take one step on this journey and walk slowly than to sit down and give up.
Very true. For that, one of the things that spoke out to me, which I thought was pretty cool, how when you were doing your spiritual bath, and the guy that with the whole sexual assault incident took place, reminded me of my experience at work. However, mine wasn't sexual assault. A lot of times when I go to bed, I have a lot of spirits just come to me. This one, the whole setting, it was different. It was very different. It was very cinematic. So it was like I was watching a movie, but there was like, you know how you got like that guy talking in the background and they're like extra serious?
Yeah.
Like an Optimus Prime thing. He's just talking to the Autobots and they're like opening up the scene. So it was like that. And that's what we were talking about. We were talking about, because you mentioned energy vampires also as we were talking. And then obviously we were talking about, our white counterparts. So I'm getting at there's this spirit named Jebediah. So the dream opens up like this, because it was straight out like a movie. It was like there's this old slave named Jebediah. He would go through and he would beat the master's wives that did his ancestors wrong. So I was like, what? Now Jebediah, he had very broad shoulders, very lengthy, very tall. He had a top hat, but his colors were like the colors he wore at the time. They were green and yellow. So at the moment of that, what ended up transpiring was then I finally see my mother. So I see my mother, and my mother's this big black giant goddess, and my spirit was like they would come around the world to worship her, and it was just crazy because I never witnessed my mother at the time. Like I never had a dream about her or got anything about her at the time. So I was like, that was a first. So to have that happen, I was like, wow, this is amazing. So to tie this in, I was like, so the lady at my job at the time, I won't mention her name, but she was white and she kept trying to act black, be black, like all the mannerisms. Like she had that Charleston accent, but nothing about her matched. And I remember after like maybe the first 2 weeks, I started feeling irritated. I was like, I have to work with her, but I was like, something's off here. Like something's off. Like this ain't just the surface. So I let it ride, obviously about 2-3 more weeks. And then as I'm at work, she just wouldn't leave me alone. Like she would always ask questions that we all know how to do. And I'm just like, nah, something about this really don't feel right. I said, I know what it is. I said, it's her spirit. I was like, oh, it's ugly. Like it's so ugly. Her spirit is so, so ugly. And then I was like, that's what my spirit's telling me. Cause it's like, I wasn't on the surface, I wasn't getting offended. Internally, I was getting offended. It was very strong. It was just like, ooh, I can't stand to see that. So what I did was, and this is how I talked to Jebediah. You can conjure this guy up. I was like, I know who I'm gonna call. I'm gonna call Jebediah. I'm gonna call him up. And then like, you gotta talk shit to him. You just gotta talk shit to Jebediah. I'll be like, Jebediah, you black motherfucker. you black skinny motherfucker, I need you to carry out this order. And I would just tell him whatever, like you talk shit to him like that, because you getting that energy together. And then I did what I did. I told him about the woman at my job, her, and what she was doing. 2 weeks later, she was fired. Matter of fact, I wasn't even there. I remember I called out. And I stayed home that day. I come back in the following night, and then so basically the 2 weeks, and then the day after that, I come in. I'm like, yo, where's such and such? They're like, hey man, she fired. What? Yeah, man, they let her go. I was like, oh, Jebediah, you good. I was just like that. I was like, nah, man, that worked. And it's not like no one can use it, but for everybody. It's this energy by everybody. I mean us. I mean like us, like for our like how we use it with our ancestors.
Yeah, we have our, like, I agree wholeheartedly with that, because I think I think that because of their life experiences, I think that's why some of us are more pro-Black than others, just because we're more willing to tap into that. We're more, like, for me, you know, when I pray, I don't know if it's an altar, but like I have candles and I have an incense little thing. So, when I pray to my ancestors, I always say, you know, like, I have no problem praying for something bad to happen to people now, because if I know I've been wrong, I'm to the point where instead of me just like, oh, it's okay, you know, karma's gonna get them. Now I'm like, nah, fuck that. Like, let me pray to my ancestors so something swift happens to them. So that way, when my anger hurts being avenged, so is theirs. I always pray to my ancestors, like, you know, if you've ever wanted to make somebody your footstool and you never had the chance, you know, like, please, you know, take your anger out on this person because they're doing me wrong. You know, I haven't done anything wrong to this person. So I wholeheartedly agree with, you know, conjuring Jebediah. Like, I have no problem with that, because it's like, to me, at the end of the day, you know, we as a culture, people have no problem at all using us for our talents, for our strengths. But when it comes to giving us basic human rights, it's like, nah, you're going too far. Like, we can use your cooking, we can use your athletic abilities, we can try to take, you know, your recipe, the way you guys, you know, add flavor on any and everything. But 40 acres and a mule? Nah. You want us to stop killing y'all unarmed? Nah, that's way too much. So I have no problem at all, you know, praying for vengeance, because I feel like at the end of the day, you have to be able to acknowledge every single emotion that you're feeling, because you are human. I feel like being Black in general, you know, when we express ourselves, we're called angry. When when we try to do something other, you know, outside of the normal stereotypical things, we're seen as different, you know. And when, to me, we're no different from anybody else. Why can't we acknowledge our depression and work through it? Why can't we acknowledge that, you know, our parents may have done some toxic things to us, so now we got a fucked up mentality and we're trying to break that mold? Why can't we acknowledge those things without being seen like you're trying to be somebody other than yourself?
Honestly, I feel like it is up to us to break down the stereotype, especially us as parents. You know, we're raising our kids in this generation. I'm pretty sure our parents experience it as well, where, you know, it feels they're going to have that much more influence on them. They're going to be around them a whole lot more because we have to work a whole lot. So I do feel that it's our personal responsibility to teach kids to be themselves, no matter what. Be that nerd, honor those nerds. If you want to read comic books, do that. You know, be you no matter what, because in the end, I can go to Walmart and I see other people of other cultures. They let their kids run around and they're doing all this extra stuff. And then, like, we as a Black culture, we're always telling our kids, don't do that. You're embarrassing me. Sit down. We are always that culture that does that. So
we police
ourselves. I expect my kids to act right. I do want them to also harvest the fact that they are them, and I don't want to change them. I do want to backtrack on, it was Jebediah.
Yep.
That we were speaking about earlier.
Yeah.
I visited him recently.
Word.
I went to sleep and it was real quick, and I'm so upset that I didn't get a chance to actually just remember and I guess cultivate the experience. But I remember walking into a room and he was there and he said, "Welcome back." And I was like,
Shut up.
and that was it though. So now I was like, okay, I always questioned the fact that I was separating from my husband to come out here to take care of things. About maybe 4 or 5 months ago, actually it was like maybe a year ago, I remember having a dream, and this is after we had built our altar and put our ancestors up there, and I started praying and talking to them and everything. I had a dream that I needed a ladder. I needed a ladder in the house. I just didn't know. I was like, am I supposed to build it? Am I supposed to buy it? Like, I was overthinking it. But on my way down here, I stopped at a friend's house and he was getting rid of a ladder. And I was like, I need that. That told me this is where I'm supposed to be. And then when I got here, that's when I had that dream where Jebediah was saying, "Welcome back." And I was like,
what? You didn't tell me that. I didn't know Jebediah paid you a visit.
yes. When you said the top hat and all that, because I was like, who is this? I was kind of scared because I've never been visited before. Not in my dreams. I've never had a visitor. Like, I've never been somewhere. I've never had that spiritual journey. And when I got that, I was like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be. It was like amazing. So I feel more awakened, and I do regret not having all those extra tools to help me cultivate that, because I also have a whole lot going on between taking care of mom and being mom and just making sure things are good. But I am at peace spiritually. It's just my anxiety is very high because I'm not doing those things that I need to do.
That's a good place to go. When I didn't have, like I say, certain spiritual tools and supplies for myself, whether it be via candles, via herbs, look as if you have. So that's what's going to leave you with your mind. Remember, you don't necessarily need the candles necessarily because you're utilizing your mind anyway. So the power, when I'm saying your mind, it's more to it. That's where your real powers come from. It's coming from your spirit. You're utilizing your mind to access your spirit and wield those things. So by me putting the candle up and the incense up, those have spiritual intentions when we light them, but they also distract your humanity from getting in the way when you're actually doing these rituals. So basically, you're quieting yourself and you're getting yourself in a much relaxed state. Because I don't know if you noticed, but for me, if I'm not as relaxed, I'm not necessarily 100% on that flow or on that frequency. So it takes a little while longer sometimes for me to meditate, just to get there, just so I know, hey, because I know the feeling. I already have the template of how my meditation should at least feel. And then from there, it's like, well, the next step is let's experience the outcome as it comes. Yes. And then one of my biggest hangups was I'll be like, well, what if I forget? So to counteract that, to keep that voice from playing in my head, to quiet that, I would just tell my spirit simply, hey, let me know what's going on. So next thing you know, I'm surprised and I'm like, how did this happen? And then that memory, my spirit just reminds me, like on the spot, like, oh, you did this. And remember, we did X, Y, and Z to do this. And I'm just like, whoa, like this happened. Right. So yeah, it all definitely plays in. It ties in. I just give Jebediah some liquor. I pour him out some liquor on the altar. He's normally in it with my day-to-day when I do my libations. Before I was pouring my libations every day. Now I do it when I feel like when it's time for me to do it. It's like, oh, the energy's right, go pour it. Because sometimes on my altar, they'll still be drinking the liquor, and then at other times they're just taking their time drinking the liquor. So it's just like, hey, look, man, it's time to put y'all to work. Like, if y'all drinking this fast and I ain't making to the next task yet, I'm gonna slow y'all down. Y'all just do what y'all do. So a lot of the times, since you already had that first encounter, you expect more. That's the biggest thing. You want to put yourself because you already proved to yourself that it can. Yeah. So there's no reason for it not to happen. Again,
that's true.
For me, one of the things I would do before I go to bed, I'd just be very general before I start getting specific. I'd be like, look, man, whatever spirit want to come through, want to party tonight, come through and let's see what happens. It was actually, there was actually one goddess that came through. Oh, it led me to my grandmother. So when my grandmother had passed, it was a whole transitioning thing with her. Matter of fact, I actually found the goddess because, so I got in the dream world and I was inside the spirit shop and I was like, oh man, all these look really nice. And then the spirit, this little spiritual figurines talk to me. It was like, pick me, get me. And I was just like, what? I'm about to get you. So then I got ready to, I grabbed her and I'm going to check out. She's still talking to me. I'm just like, hey, chill out. Let's check out. We go our way. Then this white man tried to touch it. I was like, whoa, what are you doing? Don't you ever touch this. She was just happy I got out of there. So then I found out when I woke up, it took about a day and a half. I figured out who she was. It was a deity called Hanano Tepo. Hanano Hatepo. I believe it was like Hawaiian, something like that. I'll get this specific one, the specific origin later. But anyway, this is how all this ties in together. So now I'm like, it was night. I remember when at the time I wasn't working nights. So I had all the nights off. Well, this particular time, it was a weekend. And I was watching the movie Moana. And I'm just like, this is crazy. I was like, I just had this dream about this Hawaiian goddess. Now I'm watching Moana. If you pay attention to Moana, it's talking about the heart chakra. Because if you notice on that hill, they have the pillars of stone, represents the staff. Staff is leading up to the green stone, the heart chakra.
Right.
Talking about overcoming the heart. That night, as I went to bed, I remember, because the movie was set, I remember that night, I went to bed. Guess who decides to come up? Graham. Graham decides to come up. I'm like, whoa, I haven't seen you in forever, like since you passed. So she's there with a big old smile. She gave me the biggest hug and I felt so warm and so loved. And then she told me, I love you and I'm always with you. And at that point, I remember I woke up and after I woke up from that, I was just like, man, I gotta do some heart chakra stuff because I don't know exactly what's going on. So I was like, obviously I had heart chakra work to do. And that's not a fast process. That's not something you can just skip through because remember, you have all that trauma from your childhood you got to filter through. Not only did it come from your childhood, but it poured into your adolescent stage. And now you're even seeing the after effects even in your adulthood. So just sifting through it. It's not hard. It's just you taking time out or me taking time out my day to be observant of my own thoughts and my situations. Because I'll ask myself, well, how did that come about? And it's normally 10 times out of 10 for me. I'm chasing it back to something that happened during my childhood. So my heart chakra work for me is releasing myself from those traumas that I'm still carrying. And even some of the traumas I'm not even admitting to. That's very key. Self-honesty. Because how can you expect to release something if you're not being honest? You'll sit there sometimes, you'll feel it, or you will ignore it, which is you just ignoring your spirit, and you won't even address it. You just let it fester. Because sometimes you may think it's just easier to let it just be and not deal with it until it gets serious. So that was one of the things I was facing. So my whole direction for my spiritual work, that's why I want to do the whole chakra aspect, because it's a lot of releasing and evolving and expanding when you start dealing with the chakras. So like, especially when you start dealing with the chakras, one of the major side effects I noticed was my dreams got even more, we'll say different, especially when I started leaving my body. That was weird at first, but now I'm comfortable. And now I'm back in the place to where I'm like, all right, well, let's program myself for the next destination. Yeah, Jebediah, he's very good. He likes, I don't know, did he tell you what he likes yet? I mean,
No, I haven't gotten a conversation, no nothing. He just said, welcome back.
All right, so real simple. Since you don't have anything, I know the situation. You can talk to him like you're talking to me. I did the same thing with Aaliyah. And let me tell you the side effect of how this happened. You'll wonder, well, why am I doing this? Because you asked for it. So I asked Aaliyah, I said, man, what do you want to drink? Obviously, I wasn't looking for immediate, yes, I want this. What my body started doing was craving Sprite. I could not stop craving Sprite. And I said, oh, you motherfucker. I said, Aaliyah, you just want some Sprite? I got some Sprite, put it on the altar. I stopped craving Sprite.
Wow.
That's some of these cravings that you have. If you ask the spirit what they want to eat and stuff like that, you start getting these cravings. And because you're like, this is something I normally don't do. Because before it was Coca-Cola. I would have a bottle of Coke. And how the Coke came about was there was this cat in our neighborhood. He was a part of this little group we made, a part of our own little Wu-Tang group. So we called him Wu. His name was Wu. He was a tomcat. So perfect. I stared into his eyes and I was like, show me who you really are. And this is me just on a whim. Just let's see where this takes me. I go to bed, show me two sides of himself. Feminine. I said, what's your name? Straight female cat. Motherfucker had a skirt on. I said, hold up. You look like a woman, but for like a cat. I said, what's your name? She says, my name is Dozo. I said, Dozo? I was like, all right, whatever, man. I ain't about to do nothing. Go back to bed the following night. Comes back. This time as a male cat. Like, I told you my name's Dozo. Let's get to work. I was like, again, I come out the dream. What the hell we about to do? But at the time, I was dealing with my VA stuff. So the lady, when I was doing my disability. So the lady, I forgot her name. I remember I felt very wrong. I was getting ready to file my paperwork for the VA, and there was something that she completely, like, she lied to me about or something.
The same lady that I was dealing with?
Yeah, I just didn't hear from her no more. She just kind of fell off the earth. Well, I remember that. Did you hear anything from her?
Again?
Did you ever hear anything from her?
No, but I just came across her number, so I was gonna try her.
Hey, well, my spirit cut me off from her because before we was in the dream world. Dozo took out it's like a witch's knife. So it's, I don't want to mispronounce it, but it's called a bowen or a bone. Not bone, but bowen. I forgot, but it's kind of like, it's shaped like a sickle and it's a handle. I just see him. He pulls out this blade from his throat and just straight cuts her throat. And I was just like, well, I'm not hearing from her anymore. Guarantee it. Matter of fact, I remember after that, for 2 weeks straight, I went trying to hunt her down. She had my number,
right?
I had her number, and I was just like, yeah, whatever happened, I don't think I want to know, whatever. I'll just let that be that. I was just like, henceforth, my spirit was like, hey, man, I got you. Don't worry. So how the Coke came along, I said, man, Dozo, what you want to drink? I already put some catnip for him on my altar. He ain't want the catnip. It was just like, motherfucker, not all cats like catnip, all right? Not us spiritually. So I was like, I thought it would be a bonus. So then before I know it, I was like, what do you want to drink? I couldn't stop drinking Coca-Cola. That's when I caught on. I was drinking Coca-Cola for like a month straight. I didn't want no water. I didn't want anything else but Coca-Cola. I said, all right, man, this shit getting old. So I was just like, let me just put this on my altar and see what happened. Because I always had a red candle for Dozo whenever I wanted. I ain't gonna lie. I was in the realm of just fucking niggas up just to fuck them up. Like, if they wronged me. So it could be the slightest thing, but it would never be anything too serious because I just wanted to test it out. Well, it worked. But I was like, let me cut back. Whatever. But so when I put the Coke on the altar, I noticed, I was like, oh, wow, he just really wanted this soda the whole time. So then I got a little cat bowl, and then I just poured it, and then we've been good ever since. That little guy actually helped me get a promotion on the job. So I was in the dream world. I went to bed. I started dreaming, and then he said, get ready for a raise. I was like, what? Before I knew it, I don't know what, I still don't know what this part meant, but he cut the pallets, cut all the pallets in half. Now I know what it meant. He was cutting off my workload because I was doing more work than what I was getting paid for. And then that following week, I remember I actually got hired on officially to the job, and I had got a raise. So I was like, well,
Word.
he definitely will kick some ass and, you know, might help you get a promotion. I can't say what he would do for every person who decides to call him his name. So I did a whole, that was fun. That was one of the things that was really fun. So my fast forward, so we did the Cravens. So then my grandmother's sister died. Now, my grandmother growing up, she called her older sister her mother because she lost her mother. So it was like, even though they were sisters, it became like a mother-daughter relationship, but they were still sisters. So her, my grandmother died first, then her sister died. And I was like, that's odd. I said, I think I need to do something for him. So there's actually a ritual in the form of meditation that you can do very easy. Basically, you can ferry your ancestors' spirit if they're still stuck in Christianity. That's what they're still expecting on the other side. They're waiting on Jesus to show up. So what I did was I went into meditation, and I was talking to my great grandmother. I was like, hey, you need to come here. And I had Anubis with me. I was like, you need to come here. Don't go near the light. You coming back if you go near the light. That's another round trip. Go to the darkness. Don't go to the light. Christians tell you go to the light. Don't go to the light. You're going to be back on lock. You're going to
find yourself back over here.
Exactly. So once I ferried her back over, I did the ritual. That night, I see my grandmother and her sister in a nice home. But it's like she was spiritually worn out. Her sister was spiritually worn out. My grandmother said, thank you. I got it from here. Like she just put a blanket over. It's like, I got it from here. I ain't seen her since. I ain't seen my grandmother's sister since. I saw my grandmother again like 2 months later, but I ain't seen my grandmother's sister since. I was like, oh, she don't hooked her up. I don't know what she did, but I'm gonna let that be them. So
she hooking her up.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And when I saw my grandmother now, she actually created. I saw her again. I have a lot of interactions with her. I saw her again. I saw her 2 more times after that. The first time before the last.
Hey, I'm so sorry. I gotta cut this short. I got mommy duties.
Go ahead.
Baby's up. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for this.
No problem.
All right, we'll talk again.
All right.
How do I do this? Okay.
Well, I'll finish this part of the story out with you. So my grandmother, what part was that? She came. Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So your grandma came to see you again.
Yeah, she came to see me again. But this time, this is what I found out. You obviously, well, I don't know if you know, but there's other worlds obviously outside of 3 dimension. Because when you go to dream.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So she showed me her world, and she still longed for her husband on earth, my grandfather. Before I knew it, she had created her own world with him there. So that told me, oh, she waiting for him. She just created her own world. Because whenever I was in the dream world and I was very lucid, I could create whatever I wanted to appear before me, and that became a reality. I was like, oh, I can do this. She was showing me, oh.
Random question.
Yep.
And do you think your grandmother is your family shepherd? Like she's literally there to guide anybody that passes away to the ancestral plane versus to the light?
I would say now she is, because when I knew her on earth, she wasn't. My grandfather was a Jehovah's Witness. She didn't necessarily agree with him, because I actually asked her before she passed. I said, well, what are your thoughts? Because I know how Jehovah's Witnesses get down. She said, look, my family didn't come from that. She said, honestly, what I do is I just let your grandfather do what he does. She said, I'm just used to just going up, cleaning up the house, going to work occasionally here and there. That's that. She's like, anything spiritual, I'm not really inclined to do. So when I got to when I was with her in the astral world, she was like, I'm just free to do whatever. So I'm going to do that. She didn't come to me until I started